And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome back in. Here we are. We have another special interview. Sorry, I was tripped up on the word we. And I went, who in the world is we? And then I said, have another very special interview. And I don't know where I'm getting this verbiage for whatever this show is. I don't know what's going on anymore. I don't know why I came up with these things. Sometimes, I was thinking about this last time I had an interview. There was a point... there's a point in time when I didn't know how to introduce anything. And now I just fall right into it. I know exactly what to say or not say. And I just kind of do it. It makes me think this is very true. This is something that I have been doing for the past couple of months. I subscribe to SiriusXM. And yes, I also subscribe to another music subscription platform. It rhymes with Bluetooth music. It is YouTube music. But I like to, especially if you grew up with radio, you hear a disc jockey hitting the post. And if you don't know what that is, it's simply they talk over the prelude, the intro, whatever to the song, and then right before a verse starts, they get out of there. But I think it's funny if it's not just a song that has like a 10-second or a 20-second intro. I like to do it to Where the Streets Have No Name by U2. That's a 2-minute, 5-second intro. Same thing for Eminence Front by The Who. I think that's like 145 or 148, I think. And it's just so funny just for me to come up with stuff to say for 2 full minutes. All right, let's get into this. It's been 3 minutes now. Let's get into this interview. See, now I don't know what to do. I shouldn't have called it out. I sat down with comedian Skyler Higley. He is a very funny, very, very, very funny comedian and writer. He's done work for The Onion. You've read The Onion. He's done work for Conan on TBS. You know Conan on TBS. Done work for After Midnight. It was a great show. And all of them are great projects. I like, especially Conan, especially The Onion, especially After Midnight. All three. He wrote for the Oscars. I also think he wrote for the Oscars when Conan hosted the first time, and we did not talk about the Oscars. When I hung up the interview, as that's what I usually call ending the interviews. When I hung up the interview, I was like, "We got to talk about the Oscars next time." He also invited me on the podcast that he's promoting. It's called "Help Me Be Black." He grew up with white parents, and now he invites guests to teach him about the aspects of black culture that he missed out on. It's an ingenious concept for a podcast, and when I introed him, I was like, I'm surprised that they allowed another podcast. As a little joke. You ever immediately say something and immediately regret it? Skyler's great. I really enjoy. I knew this was going to be a nice time. Man, I hope to have him back soon. And he's a good stand-up. I watched some clips of him online. So he's a good writer. He's a good stand-up. Just a good dude all around. And he's smart. Way smarter than me. As we talk about the books that we're reading. And he's reading a book about art and making art. And then you'll hear what book I'm currently into right now. Anyway... it also turns out Skyler's Emmy nominated. He's living a life that I want. There was also something that I brought up that we get into And he actually, I think, he mentions like this middle ground in the entertainment industry, and then I mention, in comedy, not just in comedy, but in the industry, there's this middle class that no one ever talks about, and it's an idea that I thought of last week because I talk to so many people who are in the industry, and then and then I'm a working person in the industry, but on the outside, people who are just fans of watching something or listening to something, they don't understand that they're just like in the regular working world. There's just people who are working. They're the people who let's go to after midnight. Uh, the camera people, the sound people, those people are just working, and then but they just so happen to be around comedians or musicians or whatever. Think about you're touring musician. The touring musician, and I promise I will get back to Skyler in a second, but the touring musician is, first of all, musicians don't make a lot of money except for when they tour and they sell their merch themselves and all that stuff. But because they don't make a lot of money from whatever streaming platform that you're listening to. But that person hires people. There's if they're touring on bus, they have a bus person, they have a manager, they have this, they have that sound person, grips, all that stuff. There was, and again, I'll get back to Skyler in a second. When I was jobless, like 5 or 6 years ago, and I needed something, my stepdad got me a job. His friend knew people who Taylor Swift was touring, and they knew people who were building the stage, and I was able to build the stage for Taylor Swift. But yeah, but again, I laid down the flooring, and that was tough. So then again, there's just people who were working, and I don't think that audiences truly understand that if it's not as good and easy as it may seem, just because you see a comedian post something on Instagram and you go, oh, look at that, they're doing well, it doesn't mean that, whatever. Anyway, you'll hear our discussion. Skyler's great. If you want to go ahead, and I urge you to, follow him on Instagram, TikTok, and if you're an X person, do that. At Skyler Higley. Looks like it's on both TikTok and Instagram. That's the name. Check out old clips of After Midnight. I believe he was on the show, if I'm not mistaken. He was a panelist for an episode, and I know he participated in a prepared game. I know that much. Go read The Onion. Tim Heidecker now runs the Alex Jones-esque part of it. I think he's in charge. Go watch old clips of Conan. I don't think Skyler will get paid for any of this. But go ahead. He's a funny guy, and I'm really glad I was able to talk. Because as soon as I saw the name come across my inbox, I went, yes. Because I knew who he was. But that's also because I'm a part of this world. If you want to see a video version of this interview, go to youtube.com/C+Comedy. You will see a video version of the other podcast. Subscribe to those other podcasts, Late Night Lately, Late Night Show, and there's a monologue now, and LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs and Business News podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, follow us on social media, at C+Comedy on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Blue Sky. Me on those platforms, at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. Now, check out the wonderful and funny Skyler Higley. I'm doing well. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate this very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. I knew who you were. I was like, as soon as I got the email, I was like, God damn it, I have to talk to Skyler. He's a funny guy, funny cat.
Hey, I love it. I love being slightly known.
Slightly, no. Come on, man. You're written for the Oscars. You're popping up on Pete Holmes's podcast. You're more than slightly known. I'd put you above slightly, but well below great.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
How's it going? I see that you have this new podcast, Help Me Be Black, and
Hmm.
I'm just so surprised that A, they're allowing more podcasts to be released and made, but B, this is like it's got such a great premise. It's so smartly done, and I watched the most recent one with Rob Hayes, and it's very funny, and I think really any uh, person of color, but mostly black people who were raised in a mostly white area could relate.
Totally. And it's also so, it's also so generational, I think I've
Mhm.
I've learned, is it's very much like the black millennial, I think, especially in older black millennials, there's a real, this is the TV we watch, this is the culture, and this is what the culture has become defined by with like what music has been and is become. So it's all very interesting in terms of what blackness is because it is relative and everybody has sort of their own take on it, and it's just interesting because being raised by white people, I don't feel like I have any authority on it, even though it is so subjective. So it's just fun to talk about and unpack, and
Yeah,
obviously it's not always so like we're really unpacking it and being deep. A lot of times it's just we're being funny and dumb about it.
yeah. Like talking about, the black magazines or black hair care products. Because, like, what was it like growing for you, like growing up? Like, on TV or in movies, you often see, like a white family that adopts a baby from a different ethnicity, and then they try to like get them culturalized or something like that within that baby's ethnic, cultures. So for you, did you get, the hair stuff? Did they take you to black barbershops or whatever?
Yeah, we had one black barber shop that I went to. Shout out Randy. He's at Flex Cuts. If anybody's in Salt Lake, everybody go to Flex Cuts. He was, he held me down, but I still don't think that I got a good education on personally how to take care of my hair. Like outside of that, I still think they didn't really know. So it was just I'd be looking crazy all the time, then go to the barber shops, and then, that's been something that I've had to figure out. So, and there's just a lot of knowledge that just isn't totally around. Like the culturalization I got was my parents being like, okay, he's got to know all about the civil rights movement and we need to celebrate Kwanzaa. And that's like that's what I got. And that was it. Like that was all I knew of black culture, was that like we boycott shit.
Yeah. Do you still, when's it? I celebrated Kwanzaa, I think once in my life. And that was when I was a child, and it was because my parents took me to a Kwanzaa party, I think. Did you ever do it more than once?
Oh yeah, we did it for, in my memory, it was like until my adopted parents got divorced, I think. So in my memory, we did it for at least 9-ish years, maybe. I mean, I
Wow.
don't know. It probably wasn't like the first 2 years they had adopted me, but since my memory as a child, we were celebrating it like on a yearly basis.
I
And nobody else was, is so crazy.
They've got like a black Kwanzaa man out front, and he's just giving like a
Yeah.
fist symbol.
The fist, like an inflatable Kwanzaa
Inflatable.
fist guy.
All right, so did you grow up in Salt Lake?
Hmm.
Did you start stand up there, or did that take you to a different area? Did you go to Chicago or LA first?
Yeah, I dabbled in Salt Lake City, but I started stand up in earnest in Chicago, I would say.
Okay.
But there was a handful of open mics and it was all just, a lot of just like white dude saying white dude stuff. And basically that's a lot of open mics, but that was basically all it was
Yeah.
in Salt Lake. So I was like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go to Chicago. And that was sort of the plan.
I can't I wonder if Salt Lake is a good place to do comedy now because I
I
feel
think it
as though
is.
okay,
I think so. The scene has really come up there, and
okay.
I would never besmirch the scene now because Wise Guys is a great club. But right when I was starting, I was like, this is a little sparse.
Yeah. There's like a lot of strange comedy pockets that I hear about. Like, obviously Denver has come into its own, but I like maybe 15 years ago I've been like, is Denver a place to do comedy? And then you hear, Salt Lake is something good. But I'm always so interested when you started in Chicago, before you even got to the Onion, or like even if you at the Onion, how did you get through that process of I'm just gonna go ahead and start telling all these jokes and hopefully people will laugh?
I mean, that's like I always wanted to do stand up really, and I knew that I was gonna do it as soon as I was, getting I just knew that it was gonna be what I was gonna do.
Mhm.
So right as soon as I got there, I started doing open mics and I was doing Second City's writing program and all this. And you just go to the mics and find different friends at the mics that encourage you to go to mics and things. And especially when you're starting out, I feel like it is just about doing it and going for it and getting the reps in and it really leads to a lot of growth, especially in those first 3 to 4 years, because you're just going out all the time, figuring out how it works, figuring out who you are too. Like I was 20 at the time when I very first started, so I didn't really have a good sense of who I was yet. And that it takes a while. And building that through comedy is really helpful because you're meeting all different kinds of people. You're being exposed to all different kinds of perspectives really quickly that I wouldn't have necessarily been that exposed to where I was growing up. So it was really just like a helpful experience to go to a big major city and just
Yeah.
kind of go for it.
What was the writing program like? I can only like imagine that it is just, hey, this is how a TV script works, this is how stand-up works, this is how an improv or a sketch works, and then they throw you to the wolves essentially.
Yeah, the writing program at Second City was literally just here's how Second City writing sketches works. And
That's
so yeah, I thought it was going to be what you're describing, or I thought like someone was going to get out like a big whiteboard and go, all right, so here's what comedy is conceptually, right? If you really dig down into it, there's a fundamental contradiction in reality. And that's what we build comedy around,
yeah,
the way that we do linguistics and rhetorics and all that. And I thought it was going to be going to like some kind of Harvard situation where it
yeah,
was going to be really abstract but then show different like artistic techniques, and it wasn't even that at all. It was just like, so this is the type of Second City sketch we do, here's how to write it, now go write it. And then we would get notes, and you would get notes from a bunch of other people in the class, but these people are also people taking the class, and especially in the early stages it's like, what are these notes? You don't know what you're talking about. Why are
yeah,
you telling me what your notes are on my sketch when your sketch sucks? What is this? This
yeah.
sucks. So it was not my favorite writing program. And I don't know if it's still like that, but I think there are a lot of improvements that can be made.
Mhm.
I took it 10 years ago, and it's a lot of the improv sketch people that knew a lot of the names that we know now, but didn't ever quite make it. So a lot of the teachers are quite resentful
Yeah.
and will take it out on the students. So I didn't have an amazing time. But after that, when I started doing stand up and a little bit of improv in my own thing, it was a lot more fun.
Yeah. That I think a lot of like writing is just like comedy and it's just like music. You just have to kind of find it on your own. When I wrote my first script when I was in college, and it sucked. It
Mhm.
blew. And now, I'll be 33 on Friday. Hold your applause. And my writing is thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. My writing is so much better. I haven't sold
Totally.
anything, but it is just like I know what a joke is. I know how to tell a story. Everything just kind of works. And even when I look back at interviews that I've done, I've been doing this for 13 years. So I look back at interviews from 13 years ago. I go like, Jesus Christ, that guy fucking stinks. He's so
Yeah.
bad at what he does. And
Yeah.
a lot of it is just get up there and do it. Go tell the jokes. Go do this improv thing. Go perform music. And I think a lot of people now who just have this idea of like you're famous, you get the check mark on Instagram and TikTok, and then everybody loves you. Now you're going to be signed by CAA, and you're going to be rich and everything. there's a comedy middle class, or there's a middle class in the entire entertainment industry that people just don't seem to understand, and it's tough, and I think the best people in the industry can stick with it. Like you're just able to just go to the Oscars, well, not able to go to the Oscars, but you
Yeah,
wrote for the Oscars.
I just up and walk in.
You walked in, they said it's too
Hey,
many
it's
black
Higley's
people in.
here.
What slave movie are you in right now? It's 13
They did
years.
12 years a slave. I'm bringing it back with 24 years a slave.
See,
12 years
exactly.
part two, 24 years. Let's rack it up.
Brad Pitt somehow in there still, and he still gets
Yeah.
a trophy.
He's the only one who gets the trophy.
But like
Hey.
it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
Uh
No, it really is. But that middle class thing is I do feel very squarely in that middle class of comedy. And it is something that is interesting because especially if you are like kind of like we're talking about slightly known, I think a lot of people will assume like, oh, you must be rich and doing quite well. And it's just kind of like, no, like I'm just out here. It maybe used to be a little bit more like
yeah.
that. I think that 10 years ago, my career would have netted me the career I have so far would have netted me a lot more money and accolades. But the industry is what it is at this time. And, I'm really sort of, I used to have these big dreams of like, I'm gonna be, man, by the time I hit 30, which I just turned 30, I'm like, I'm gonna be so fucking famous, I'm gonna be so on by then. And now I'm like, oh, the whole thing is now just about building what is a sustainable creative career,
Hmm.
which is also very hard, and do that for the foreseeable future. But like, it's not easy out here, especially now with what's going on, with every company not wanting to hire, not wanting to make things, AI, blah blah blah. We all know
Yeah.
that the issues, but it's like, oh, this whole dream of what it used to be versus what the dream is now is, I think, very much more realistic, and I think still a very ambitious dream. But I'm just kind
Yeah.
of like, yeah, I don't need to be. I always wanted to be the very best that no one ever was. And the older I get, I go, oh, I don't really need that. I just want enough people to see what I make and like it and be able to make more stuff.
Hmm. Yeah.
And beyond that is like, nah, we're cool.
I think about the reference to Pokemon. I play Pokemon still, and I'm still trying to knock out the DLC for Scarlet and Violet.
Mm,
But I think about, if Pokemon were real, I live in Atlanta. There would be so many dead like Rattata and Raticate just on the street. There'd be dead
hmm.
Pidgeys. There'd be like, Snubbles running around and Granbulls running around. I don't think
Absolutely.
I would love to be a Pokemon trainer. And then you think you have to feed them all. Ash, they didn't have any money, but somehow they
Yeah.
were able to, when they were eating, they could feed the Pokemon. What a fucking
Yeah.
insane notion.
No, it's the Pokemon are slaves, bro.
Yeah.
The Pokemon are slaves. They literally they just have to live in the balls and fight. Hey, we have nothing to lose but our balls. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They are they are slaves, and it's a terrible situation that we put them in. And they seem happy with it, but that's just propaganda, I think.
Imagine being like asleep at like 2 p.m. on a Wednesday, and then your trainer's like, "I'm gonna fuck you up. Here's my crocodile." He throws a fucking Pokeball. You have to be awake and ready to fight.
Oh, I guess I'm fighting now. I guess that's my job.
That's my
And
job.
and I'm and I supposedly like this Pokemon trainer? No. This person forces me to fight. I was just an animal. This
Yeah.
sucks.
I just recently rewatched Detective Pikachu, and at the beginning of
Mm,
that movie,
I never saw it.
it's good. It's a really good movie.
Okay.
I enjoy it, but also I like the Transformers movies. So I like five of
Mm-hmm.
them. So
Mm-hmm. I like five of what, seven?
seven, I
Like
think.
I mean that OG Transformers movie, and granted, I did see it when I was like what 13 or whatever, but the
Hmm.
the OG one, I was like, this is good. This is what I always would have wanted. Then they just keep making more and more, and I go, okay, it's a lot of
Yeah. That's how the last night was. The last one with Mark Wahlberg was literally just explosions, and it didn't make sense.
right.
But
Yeah, I think they could make a. I would love, and they kind of did this with the first one, but I would love like a very stripped down sort of emotional Transformers
Mm,
movie that really kind of, a lot of these blockbustery things, it is so much about spectacle, which of course, I mean, that's how you're gonna make your money. But if in the world where it's just, let's say, one transformer who's there,
hmm.
and you're sort of dealing with the ramifications of a transformer being in your life in a real
Yeah.
way, could be very interesting instead
Yeah.
of this big explosive Autobots, Decepticons, they got to do the whole big thing. It's like that's cool, that's fine. But what if we got like an A24 Transformers movie? You know what I mean? Or it's like the Transformer is like young and then like wants to come out but doesn't know how to come out and he's kind of trying to deal with that. And it's like, oh yeah, being a robot isn't the only thing I'm disguising about myself and
Mm.
things like that. That's really interesting to me.
Yeah. Transformer shows Bush. It's
Yeah,
it's it's a whole, and everybody, it wins and it's nominated for an Oscar. It never wins.
never
It's
wins.
nominated.
Got a Palme d'Or though. That's what you want.
Oh
That's what
yeah.
you
Oh,
want. It goes to Con.
it's going to Con. It's at Tribeca. It wins the audience award. It's crazy.
Yeah. This we could write. We could get in on this.
Look, I think so. I'm sure. I think A24 is now doing an AI movie.
Oh, right. So we can't do that. But
Yeah.
Neon.
Oh my God, I would love a Neon. The first movie I saw with Neon was who's the guy? Who's the boyfriend from Stranger Things? Uh, uh,
Hmm.
oh God, what is his name? Like Joey something. He looks
Yeah,
like
it's like Joey. Yeah.
Ben Schwartz. But
I know who you're I can see him in my mind. I never knew his name.
the first Neon movie I saw was with him in it, and I didn't know what Neon was, and I just thought this is another indie label making an interesting movie, but at least I watched it.
Yeah. Was it good? It was great.
Yeah, it was about him driving or something. I don't know.
Oh wait, was it Baby Driver?
No,
Was
it
that
wasn't
it?
Baby Driver.
Okay. Baby Driver made me mad. Baby Driver was like, because the whole time he's like stealing stuff, and they
Mhm.
go, "Oh, but he's such a good boy," and it's just like such a like white man movie, and it's
Yeah,
like, and then it keeps cutting to him, and it's like him and his lady, and they're dressed like 50s style,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's like this like weird, and he keeps doing crimes, but then like the whole legal system is like, yeah, but he's a really good guy, and I'm like, what?
yeah, yeah.
This is not happening to anybody else besides. It's like, oh, it's because it's a nice white boy. Okay,
Uh-huh.
whatever. All right, Baby Driver.
I'm watching The Shield as I when I work out at home, when I cycle, or when I run on the treadmill, and Vic, the guy, like Michael Chiklis, he's not entirely a bad guy. He's a cop that does bad things, but that show takes place in the early 2000s. They say the
Mm,
most racist things. He works with CCH
right.
Pounder, and he works with like black cops and Latino cops and Asian cops. They say the most racist things. He never gets in trouble. I'm on season 4, and he has not gotten in trouble once, and it's
Zero.
insane. Like that, those things just happen. And the most, and unfortunately, Walton Goggins is in the show, and he's the most racist of them all in that show. It's wild.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. I've never seen it. Wow, wow, wow.
yeah,
Dang. And they were like, yeah, no HR, nothing. This is cops in the early 2000s. This is
yeah,
how it is. And even still.
yeah. Even
A
still,
lot of them say a lot of stuff that it doesn't seem like the stuff that they get caught for. I'm like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that it still just kind of is that way. And then they go, well, can't say this anymore, but here I am saying it.
yeah. Well, that's why we got to get a comedy union, just like they have a cop union. We have to get a comedy union. We stand up for all comedians. Russell
Mm.
Brand, Tony Hinchcliffe. We
Yeah, the
stand up
good
for all of
guys.
them. Don't come after us.
The thin comedy line. You take one, you take us all.
That's how they see themselves too. Is they see themselves as like provocateurs, truth tellers, and all that stuff.
Yeah. Did you see that? I didn't see that new Tony special, but I damn sure saw the trailer and it was so like, well, you're not even gonna put any jokes in the trailer. You're just gonna
Yeah,
be talking about jokes.
yeah,
And it really speaks to the state that we're in right now, not just in comedy, but as a culture where this is so this is why populism is both good and bad, where it's
Mhm.
like, well, this is what a lot of people quote unquote want or what they're given and what they've been conditioned to want. But
Yeah.
then when you're appealing to this lowest common denominator, everybody's worst impulses kind of stuff, you're ending up and you're specifically trying to appeal to that, you're ending up with the worst art that's
Yeah.
just completely watered down, has absolutely nothing to say, but then has to posture itself as both brave and important. And you're like, why? What was any of this for? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Why there people that used to be provocateurs or whatever used to actually have like jokes, or
Mhm.
they just would go up themselves and do it. And at least, you want to talk about Andrew Dice Clay, who I'm not even a fan of, but like at
Yeah.
least he did it on his own and built a real character and like had jokes, whereas Tony, like his whole thing just came from like running an open mic where everybody else got to buy into the idea that he was good. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's crazy that that's allowed.
It really is crazy. I spoke to Larry the Cable Guy, I think in like 2020,
Nice.
and we were doing well, and then like 15 minutes in, he goes something about like the Democrats ruined comedy. I was like, well, we're in the middle of a pandemic, Larry. Like, and then he started comparing. He's like, well, what about when Sam, who is it, Sam uh, Clifton or something like that? I don't know.
Oh, Kiddison, yeah.
Yeah, Sam Kinison, excuse me. Yeah, he's like, well, what about Sam Kinison? I was like, well, that was then. That was the 80s. Like, it's completely different now. I think it was, when Carson, when Carson was on TV, that's you could do stuff like that. But at some point, you kind of have to grow and move on. And I think that's what a lot of these Austin branded comedians don't know. And then you end up with people like Elon Musk who think and revel that that stuff is like still funny as if it's like 2001 and we can still say, anti-gay slurs or anti-Indian slurs or what have you. The only clip I saw from that Tony Hinchcliffe special was on Tim Heidecker's show, and
Oh,
he
right.
played that like the last joke and the lights went out, and it was just so unfunny. It made my heart hurt how bad that was. Like I could take I did stand up for like a total of like 3 or 4 times. I could take all the cards that I still have from 10 years ago, and I could go out and tell a joke, and it would be funnier than whatever the fuck that thing was.
It's horrible. And the fact that these guys, they all think they're counterculture. Like
Hmm.
that's the thing with Kinnison in that day, to what you were speaking to, is that was a countercultural perspective, and the way that he was going about it was truly was countercultural in its ways. He was still a white man, so whatever. But but like all of these guys right now who are like friends with Donald Trump and all this stuff, they think that they're like counter establishment when they're totally just like tools of the establishment. And it's
Yeah.
so weird that with what the White House tweets now,
Oh my
that
gosh.
even though everybody who has the power is like being like, we're taking the power back. It's like, from who? From who? Some immigrants that all work at like the taco stands and maids in hotels, we're taking the power back from them. It's like
Right.
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And then when something is so popular that's out of their control, like Hamilton, for instance, they want to be a part of that conversation. But you were booed. Like it's literally about like people like you. And then you go to the show, you're the vice president, you're the president, and people boo you. If I was booed in New York at the Knicks game, I would kill myself.
That would be really tough. That would
Yeah.
be really, because you got to be like, I mean, and it takes a certain kind of mind that has doesn't have the ability to feel shame to
Mhm.
become a person like that. But it is like you really have to be so deluded into think that you're going, you go to a Knicks game, and if you go somewhere and it doesn't even have to be somewhere that big. Imagining going anywhere and everybody in a room boos you
Mhm.
is like absurd to me. Like that would feel so, so bad
Yeah.
that everybody just hate and you gotta stand and like he's standing there like, hey, what's up, everybody? It's me. Yeah. Oh, you're cheering. It's cheers. Ah. Ew. That's an insane person
Yeah.
and somebody that should not have any power, but he has all of it and we'll probably be fine. It'll be okay, I'm sure.
Just 2 more years. 2 more years.
Just two more in quotation marks.
Oh
Nothing
my
bad will
God.
happen.
Oh my God. Oh well, yeah, as right. As I'm going to quote our great president, nothing bad can happen, only good can happen. Is what the fuck he said.
No bad can happen. Only good can happen.
Now, okay. So you wrote for a bunch of a couple of late night shows, and you're still in tight with that world. Was it always something like was it tough? I always ask this when people who've written for late night or for other people. Is it tough switching from that mode of writing for somebody else and then trying to come up with something for yourself, or is it because that person has a different voice? You just go, I can separate the two entities.
Yeah, I mean, everything, once you've been doing it long enough, everything does become sort of assignment based and job based, and you start to get good at that. And some, not everybody has that skill, but a lot of those people are, really good comedians in their own right and can tour and make their own money on being their own comic, which is great for them. Um, but yeah, having written for, Conan, Taylor Tomlinson's show, and The Onion, all three very different, distinct voices, with different requirements for the platform or the show. And it is like the only thing that makes it hard to do like your own thing after that for me is simply just like energy,
Mm,
where like look, you come home after 8 hours of writing. It's like, what am I gonna write my own like stand up now? Like,
yeah.
no, you gotta have time off for that. But yeah, because everything is so distinct and different, like I'm not gonna be writing necessarily the same thing that is a joke that works over here in this person's voice than I would be for myself. And I'm also just like interested in different things. I have different things to unpack about myself and my life and a different perspective. And, I can write for different things, but ultimately it's like, yeah, my stuff is going to be my stuff and pretty distinct. And sometimes there's like a translation between all of those because ultimately it is you writing for everything.
Right.
But a lot of times it is like this belongs over here and this is my thing and this belongs over here and whatever and this is a sketch and this is stand up and this is a headline and like I've gotten pretty good at that at this
Yeah.
point. Most of what ends up feeling like I can't tell if that's my own stand up or if that it's like an Onion headline is what will end up being the closest because Onion headlines are pure jokes. So if you
Mm,
can get it in the right format that feels like a new enough joke, it's like, okay, so that could go on the Onion, or I could like put that in my stand up. Um, but yeah, everything else is usually up to people's voices and the requirements of what any particular show needs.
yeah. I did a submission packet for The Onion years ago, and it was not good. And I just could not wrap my head around how to do these great one-liner headlines. Like
Yeah.
it's a fascinating like thing for me because it's I attribute comedy and stand up and all this stuff to working out. There are things in the gym that I just will never be good. I can never get low enough when I do power clean or hang cleans. I can never,
Hmm.
do there are things in yoga. I was doing yoga yesterday. There's something I couldn't do and I was just like that shit's not happening today. Uh
Right.
and just writing an Onion headline is it's tough. It's hard stuff.
Well, it's also, well, here's what I'll say. It's got its own matrix to it.
Mm,
It's not, a lot of people have, it's not impossible. It's like once you know, and then once you internalize these things, it is, once you've done it, you really start to get it and can figure it out. But like it is like with anything, like, you write screenplays, and when you first start doing that, you're like, I think I know how to do it, and it turns out so weird. And
mhm.
then you start doing it more and more and more, and then you go, oh, wait, like this should be like this and this should be like this. And I kind of feel, you know, you get a sense of things until you get really good at it. And then you're like, yeah, it's kind of second nature. But in the abstract, from not knowing or not having done it, it's almost impossible to figure out what the right move is going to be at any given time and what's going to feel, you know, what's going to feel trite, what's going to feel like dishonest for a character, what's going to feel like meandering. Like all of that
Mhm.
is when you first write, you end up having a lot of that stuff in like screenplays and stuff. And then you do it enough times where you go, why would that character say that? Why would he say something that
Yeah.
they both know? Like
Yeah.
they both know it, and I'm only writing that out so that a potential reader knows that they both know it. But it's like that's not how people talk. So let's do that better.
Yeah. I also want to mention After Midnight. It's the last new late night show that will ever happen. And I can only imagine it was like writing for that show because everybody was so young and so virile and just the skin was so soft and everything. It's amazing to have such like young everybody felt like they were under 40, under 50 because you go to a late night show, everybody's like an elder statesman, but
Yeah.
it felt new and it felt great and it just stinks that the direction in which CBS is heading currently. We all saw it from a mile away. As soon as they said they won't
Yeah.
bring back that show, even before Comics Unleashed took that spot, I was like, holy shit, this is changing times, and it makes me miss late night. There is a new late night show, I guess, done on YouTube. And it's with these influencers that I do not know, and I have no
hmm
interest in watching it. But it's it that After Midnight was like the last gasp when it comes to this genre, and it stinks that it's gone.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gone. I try to be positive about stuff. I think it reappears in a different form. I think what we all have to remember is that the all of art, and I've been reading this book that's been really helpful called Immediacy by Anna Kornbluh, but it's one of the things that the book says is all of art and all of the, for lack of a better term, content that we consume is all sort of downstream of the financial logic of the day. And the
Mm,
only reason why late night shows ever existed is because there were these broadcast TV channels and they had all of this time slot, whatever, but they had to fill some time because they wanted to sell more ads,
yeah,
but there wasn't enough like written shows or whatever. And they didn't want to put stuff on that late that not, you know, everybody was going to watch, that you had a narrative to have to keep up with. So they
yeah,
came up with late night shows because originally they were just like literally filling time to sell people more ads. And because that's not how the structure of TV and everything works anymore, then it has less of a necessity, a purpose in a economic way, and now it's sort of just like a cultural thing that's been grandfathered in.
yeah,
So, and culture is shifting, so, and people who are younger like don't care about like this older cult, like that this is still the same thing, and we all who grew up with it crave it, but the younger generations who didn't grow up with it as much, they don't feel like they need that. They have
right,
TikTok, they have Instagram, they have a bunch of stuff. So it's very interesting the way tech has undercut every industry, but that doesn't mean I don't think there's not going to be opportunities for what that is in the future.
mm,
I think it just simply shifts and changes because everybody is always going to want some different version of a show or something to watch or something to laugh at. But is it going to be a traditional in the network TV form? It's like I don't know. I don't know how long network TV is able to do their thing. That's
yeah,
not, you know, they got to make all their money on like young Sheldons and stuff. So I don't know, but it does suck the phase that we're in of the decline of it before the resurgence in like whatever the next phase is going to be,
right,
based on whatever the financial logic of the that era is going to be. And I do see a shift. There's a couple of projects that I'm working on where it is shifting and we're doing like new versions of stuff, but it's
mhm,
still kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I just have the skill set that I have, and I just am gonna try to pivot
yeah,
in as many directions as I can.
yeah. I can't wait for CBS to do Teen Sheldon, and it's just him locked in his room jerking off for 22 minutes.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. They'll get there.
Also, you're reading a book about art, and I'm reading Heat 2 from Michael Mann.
Is
It's
that
good.
good?
It's good. Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's
People have liked it.
it's fantastic. I'm reading everything in Al Pacino's voice because Al Pacino's character is still alive.
Yeah.
So
Oh, he's still in there.
yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
awesome.
I can't imagine what the like if he does make this into a movie, I can't imagine what it's going to be like.
Good luck to him. That would be, it would be really, it's interesting to see a sequel right now because of, it's been so long. And like,
Yeah.
if you watch Disclosure Day, for example, which I
Hmm.
haven't been able to stop talking about recently, I'm like, oh, this is like an 80s movie,
It
but
is.
like, but like now, and it's very silly for that reason, but I get why Spielberg is making it this
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, like hearing John Williams's music in that
The
movie,
whole
I
time,
was sitting
where
in
it's like,
theater
doo doo
like, am I?
doo 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 doo, and you're like, are you sure?
And I speaking of white people in movies, I that you could have changed. No offense to Josh O'Connor, he and Liv Houston. That could have been any other person on the history of the planet Earth. He's such a boring guy. I know again,
Ooh.
no offense. He's a good
Mm-hmm.
actor, but we could keep Emily Blunt because she's so beautiful in that role
Mm-hmm.
and as a beautiful human being, and then we could replace Josh O'Connor with literally anybody else, and I'd have been fine. Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of the white actors are like that these days, it feels like, where they just have sort of a look and kind of like a thing, but it doesn't feel like I don't know a lot of the actors that are able to really go for it or feel, I don't know, distinct in any way
Hmm.
or performing in any way that I'm like blown away. Whereas like every time they went to Coleman Domingo, bro, Coleman
Yeah.
Domingo fucking, I'm like, this
Yeah.
is the greatest actor of all time. He really he is able to elevate the material.
Uh-huh.
He's able to take a role that is kind of corny and make it not feel super corny. I love
Yeah.
it. I love this
Wearing an
man.
earpiece, talking to nobody.
Right. Yes,
Ridiculous.
and most of his scenes he's by himself. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
He's like, get out of the room. I have to talk. You know,
I need you to get out of the room. I've got to talk right now.
he said he and David Diggs could be like voice twins.
They really could.
Yeah.
Wow, they really could.
Yeah.
Damn, that's actually really true.
That's the next buddy
Those are
comedy.
David and him. Yeah,
Yeah.
him father son kind of situation.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be
Huh?
perfect.
Pretty
Well,
cool.
Skylar, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Next time we'll talk more about the Oscars and everything.
Oh
But
my God, of course.
you've been a wonderful guest. I'm so glad Help Me Be Black exists so we can get more of your insight into the world. And it's going to be great. You're a funny guy, and thank you again so much. This is like a dream. You're such a
Dude,
good person.
thank you so much for having me. This is so fun. And of course, yeah, I'll come back anytime. And if you're in LA, hit me up. We'll get you on the podcast. We'll talk about stuff.
Oh, fuck yes. I can't wait. All right, Skylar. Have a good one.
All right. See you.